Daily Detroit is brought to you by the community. Support our work at patreon.com/dailydetroit.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back from the long weekend. This is your Daily Detroit. It is Tuesday, May 31st, 2022. We are almost to June, Fletcher Sharpe.
Yeah, it's starting to pick up outside, get a little bit more humid more often, so it's great for some. It's terrible for me, but
we're going to have a pretty hot weekend in Detroit this week.
Yeah, I'm excited because it means that people will be outside. It's kind of, I'm not the one to say nature is healing in the sense in terms of like COVID, but like we're getting back towards doing stuff outside, still at a safe distance, but outside, and like that's good because everyone needs to touch grass.
Well, oh, for sure, including two events that we've got coming up. June 4th, we've got Ferndale Pride, and June 10th, our 1000th episode party at the Congregation. Friday, it's a happy hour. All great things, all outside, great stuff to check out. Before we get into things, Fletcher, will you give me a personal indulgence, if you will? Because I want to talk about something. It's related to DCFC, but may I?
Sure, yeah.
Nottingham Forest, which is my team that I follow in English football, is being promoted to the Premier League after 23 years. The last time they were in the Premier League, I was in high school. And it is an exciting time. It was an exciting match to watch on Sunday. Although, you know, it was yet another example of how little things, and we've talked about it a ton of times on the show, so we won't go over that again, but little things can make a huge difference in a soccer match. You know, the energy of that for these teams, not just Forest, but their opponent and all these other things, it just gives you something else to watch in the season if you're not like one of the top 2 or 3 teams. And it reminded me how much I actually really like the idea of promotion relegation.
Yeah, I mean, we won't dwell on it too long, but I know why it won't work in this country, and that's because people just don't want it to work, so it won't work. I've seen many times many big corporations say, oh, this thing's broken, very quickly come together to fix it. But they know that if it comes to promotion relegation, it's going to require one of their teams to potentially go down, and that's not a good look for all the teams who are like, we'll just be bad for 3 years and we'll pull it out, like FC Cincinnati, who's been bad for quite some time, and this is their first year of being somewhat decent. I think a compromise would be kind of the way that the Bundesliga in Germany does promotion relegation, where they take the best team in the second division and the worst team in the first division, they make them play each other, and then the winner goes and the loser goes down. And I'm like, that's a way to work it, because at least then you give them a chance to, like, yes, they had the full season to stave off relegation, but now they have another chance to, like, here you go. You get a chance to try against this one team, and if you don't beat them or win the aggregate score between these 2 games, you got to go down. I think that that's like a good compromise, but again, probably not going to happen in this country because the bigwigs don't want it. But I do like the energy around it and the fact that you could be playing in the championship division, you could be playing in League One, which are borrowed from English football, and you could just be playing with a bunch of people that you've known for quite some time, and you push through, and in 3 years, you could be going from playing against teams like Dagenham and Redbridge to playing against teams like Manchester United, Chelsea, Fulham, etc. It's really great for Forest. It's also great for other teams that got promoted via their regular season results. But yeah, it's kind of sad that it won't happen here because there are so many talented players in the second and third division who, unless they get bought from one club to another, will not get to go up and experience playing at the highest level in this country.
Well, and City Ground where Forest plays, it's only like 30,000 people. So it's going to be so interesting to see that versus like the mega stadiums that you have for some of the top teams. And I also like the tie in the soccer history. You know, Forest has been around a long time. Arsenal got their red from Forest by borrowing their jerseys. Detroit City FC, Le Rouge. It keeps my soccer gear all consistent.
There was also a team in Detroit who won the MPSL the first year, known as Detroit Arsenal. So
really? Oh, okay. All right. Well, let's get into this schedule. We're picking back up after a much-needed break. As we're recording this, we're looking ahead to the Pittsburgh Riverhounds. This will be our second match with them, which it's an interesting thing that this early in the season, we're going to be done playing a team that clearly we're going to be jockeying with in the standings the rest of the way.
Yeah, and the difference now is that Pittsburgh has woken up. Dane Kelly has woken up. Canardo Forbes has woken up. So this is not the same Pittsburgh that we saw where they were still working on how to gel together as a unit, the attacking pieces that they have. This is a Pittsburgh Riverhounds that everyone expected coming in. So it'll be a bit more of a, didn't mean this pun, but a bit more of a dogfight, especially because they're right next to each other in standings with Detroit currently sitting in 3 and Riverhounds at 4.
How important are these points going to be? Because you want to get some distance between these two teams, and you're not going to have the opportunity again.
These next 4 matches are really crucial. They play the Riverhounds in Pittsburgh, then they host Sacramento Republic, who are currently still in the U.S. Open Cup. They're the last championship team in the U.S. Open Cup. Then they host El Paso Locomotive at Keyworth, who have a player in Yuma who when you see him, you are going to hate him. I can tell you that right now, 100%, you're going to hate him. And they wrap it up with Memphis 901 going to Memphis and playing against Ben Pierman. So these 4 games, that's 12 points. They need to at least take 8. They need to take at least 8 points, which is 2 wins and 2 ties. They need at least 8, in my opinion. Even if that means winning 3, losing 1, sure.
That 901 squad is strong.
My team of the year so far, a lot of their players appeared. And I remember watching them when they were in Hamtramck and saying these players aren't that good, in my opinion. And seeing them now, kind of like Pittsburgh, they've woken up, very different beast. Ben Pierman has them firing on all cylinders. And that's going to be a very tough game as well. But with Pittsburgh, they had to focus on shutting down Dane Kelly, but not devoting too much attention to him, because there's also Russell Cicerone, who we know, Canardo Forbes, who is the USL's leading history maker and assists. Dane Kelly is that same thing in goals. They have a very, very fearsome attack, and they counterattack with the best of them. They possess well, and they don't really give up that many goals. The reason why Detroit's ahead is on goal differential, but their attack has much more bite, with the puns, than Detroit's does.
So let's focus on Le Rouge, not just the Riverhounds, but this whole next month, this crucial month of June, which is really a make or break it month for the team. Who's going to need to step up, and what do you need to see? And we're going to be doing this without Billy Forbes.
The attack's going to have to step up. I know Hopino has been he's quietly put together a very solid season.
His stats are great.
5 goals, 4 assists. He is one of a few people who is top 10-ish in both of them. They're going to need Pato and Francis to start banging goals home, because Hopino, while great, he's not supposed to be the guy leading you in goals scored. He's supposed to be the guy who pushes your offense forward, but he's not supposed to be the guy who's scoring all of your goals. If he's scoring all of your goals, that's not good for your team. That's very bad for your team, because he's supposed to be the guy who's there to help, not the guy who's there to take over. Hopefully Brad can come back after this time off. I know he's close to being back. I'm not sure if he's exactly back yet. Last time I saw him, he was not walking with a brace anymore. He was walking around as if he was just not picked to play, which is good. I know Matt is still a little bit away, not terribly long, but last time I saw him, he was on a riding scooter. So you don't magically hop off those and then go play 90 minutes. So we got to hope that Carl we met, the on-loan center back from Indy 11, has gelled with his team finally, because a few of the goals they've given up have been his guy, where he just is somewhere else where the attacker is not, which you cannot have against teams like Memphis or Pittsburgh, because they will make you pay for your mistakes. Doing that against Loudoun or New York Red Bull is fine, but against teams like Pittsburgh, you leave someone open, 10 out of 10 times that ball is going to be found in the back of the net, and we cannot afford to do that. We've shown that with Matt Lewis out, we can still make waves and still be all right, but we got to limit the small mistakes, because those are killer.
It's interesting that you have this kind of position, because when you look at, say, John Morrissey, USL Tactics, others, there were, I think, 4 players that made it into his top picks of people that he would have on, I believe it's his all-star team, or however he put it. What gives you so much pause, considering so much positivity that I'm hearing from some others?
With all due respect to USL Tactics, because I'm a very talented guy, very good with numbers, I'm fairly certain I've watched DCFC play a lot more than he has in these past few years. I wouldn't say I know the players inside and out, but I do know their strengths and their weaknesses to a fair amount. And I am worried, because some of these players are performing really well, really, really great, and I don't know if they can keep it up for an entire season without subs. I know with Louisville, they have a player, Wilson Harris, who is up top for them, who has been doing great in the absence of Cameron Lancaster, who is one of the league's best forwards. But now Cameron's back, so Wilson can go back to being the off the bench, change of spark type of guy. Detroit doesn't have anyone like that. So like say Reese Williams starts having a down season. He's got to just be the right winger for the rest of the like until they find someone who can help him. He's just got to be out there. So if he starts having a month where he, instead of putting up 8 out of 10 performances, starts putting up 4 out of 10, 3 out of 10 performances, we don't have anyone who can swap him out with. Maybe if we do, it's maybe Michael Bryant, which then hurts us somewhere else. So like they're just stuck. And I worry about the attrition, especially getting into the hotter part of the year with them going to some pretty not chilly places. I worry about how they're going to be able to hold up continually because it's great that they're doing as good as they are so far with the numbers they have, but I'm worried.
Do you think this roster is locked in? Do you think this is it?
As of now, yes. I don't see any other moves that they could realistically make right now. I mean, even the We Met loan was kind of a shock because he was so beloved in Indiana, and also he's still a contributing player, albeit not playing as much during the regular season. The trade for Mackie Jope, also kind of a shock for many reasons. One of them being that it's a player who literally just got there and now they're getting rid of him. Another being it's someone who literally just scored his first goal for them and now they're also getting rid of him, especially because they are lacking a lot of firepower up top. So it's got to be something that's going to have to like shock the system, but I don't know. Unless they get a loan from somebody for some players, I don't see any other changes that could be made right now.
So I want to talk about Billy Forbes for a second because a number of listeners have gotten at me and said like, well, why is he doing this? We need him here. I think this is a great opportunity to kind of highlight like soccer works a little bit different than baseball, friends. It's not quite the same. It's not like we take an Olympic break.
Yeah, and I don't want to make assumptions, but it's very much if there's a player who's picked up to go to the U.S. national team, people would be like, okay, I understand. He's going to the national team. He's going to do whatever. We get it. Good luck to him. But like a different team, people are kind of like, well, why? And it's because he's the captain of that team. It's his home birthplace, and he wants to go represent it. And whether it disrupts your season or not, that's kind of what has to happen. The African Cup of Nations, one of my favorite tournaments in the entire sports thing, because you see so many teams just do so many wacky things, just so many wacky jerseys, and the team celebrations are great. It very much disrupts the English Premier League schedule because there are so many great African players in the league that teams suffer. Liverpool, for example, there are 2 of their stars, Senegalese Sadio Mane and Egyptian Mo Salah. African Cup of Nations comes, they both have to leave. So 2/4 of Liverpool's attacking 4 like have to now leave for maybe 3 weeks or so. They're just gone. So it's just something that happens in the sport. And quite frankly, Billy was dealing with injuries. He had not really had much of an impact in the season so far. So it's not like we're missing someone who's like putting in 4, 5, 6 goals so far this season. Like we can afford to miss him for right now. Numbers wise, maybe not so much, but production wise, it's not going to be a huge loss on the roster for right now. And wish him luck. Hopefully that he scores a bunch of goals, comes back in some great form after getting to play with some other competition. And we see Billy come in and do what we all assumed he'd be doing from the beginning.
All right, so we talked about how many points needed to happen because we've got the Riverhounds on Saturday, June 4th, Sacramento Republic on Saturday, June 11th, El Paso Locomotive on June 18th, which, by the way, I'll mention that is a noon game, so that's very different than our normal schedule. And then Memphis. When it comes to Pittsburgh, what is your prediction on this one?
I see another tie, a 2-2 tie. 2-2, 1-1 tie. DCFC gets some much-needed rest, and they're kind of trying to find their wheels after being on a little bit of a break. Pittsburgh has still been playing. I see them still kind of moving with the precision they've been moving with so far, and I see a 1-1, 2-2 tie. I think their forward, Dan Kelly, gets one, or Russell gets one as well, and I think Hopino bangs one home, and a goal comes from someone else. Maybe Maxey, but probably someone else who's not someone we've been known to score goals for us.
You know, I'm going to go for 2-1. I'm going to go for 2-1 Detroit City FC. Hope springs eternal.
Sometimes springs backwards, but hopefully eternal. Hopefully eternal is the way that springs this time. But hopefully my prediction is not as right. I know I get razzed a lot when I'm right and Detroit loses points or they lose. So hopefully that I am wrong and they win 17-0 or something.
Well, and you'll be able to check it out on ESPN Plus, as that is on the road. How much of that will be a factor?
Not that much. It's not like they're traveling to like Monterey Bay or Colorado or Miami. Like Pittsburgh's not. You could make a drive to Pittsburgh in a day.
All right, before we go, I wanted to mention this because it's a kind of cool thing. The Northern Guard supporters are doing their annual Detroit Prideraiser. It's to support the Ruth Ellis Center. They do some pretty important work with LGBTQ youth. Did you know that nationwide, LGBTQ youth have a 120% higher risk of homelessness than their peers? Ruth Ellis has been doing a ton of work in the community for a long time. They're building a new facility just within walking distance of the studio. So this is something to check out on prideraiser.org. So far, as we're recording this, $1,549 pledged per goal so far, running through the month of June for both the men's and women's teams.
It's one of the cool things that no matter what you feel about Northern Guard, it's a really cool thing that they helped create with a few other supporting sections where they find a charity, donate to pledge money per goal, and they do it. It's great. I think it's one of the best things that has to do with the entire soccer scene. Acts like this show like there's, I don't want to say there's no humanity, but it shows like there is a little bit of kindness in the world still.
And since 2017, they have raised, get this, nearly $96,000. So I'm pretty sure this year we're going to break 100,000 with this. It's a great thing.
Yeah, it's one of the perks of moving up a division is you get more eyes on you. And not to say that Prideraiser didn't have eyes on them before, because there were clubs in the USL Championship who participated. I know Louisville does. I think Phoenix does sometimes. I know Tampa Bay did at one point. I think they still are. But you get more people in the Detroit area who are like, I would like to be a part of that as well, to kick in money. And it's a very great, awesome thing. And hopefully they do break 100,000. That would be a nice thing to see.
All right, just as a reminder, we will be up at the Mackinac Policy Conference doing some shows for the rest of the week, talking about the things impacting our region. And of course, we will be back next week with more Fletcher Sharpe talking Detroit City FC. You can find us on all the social media, the Daily Detroit on Twitter, Daily Detroit on Instagram, and of course on TikTok, because who knew, man? TikTok.
Yeah, TikTok's a really weird app, but if you get something that people like, they will go and they will watch it 20 times. My partner, she will find TikToks that don't make any sense, but she'll be over there watching it 15 times in a row, and I'll hear the same sound over and over and over again, and I'm like, hey, man, I bet that creator loves you because they're rolling in it because of you. So hopefully someone hears us talking about DCFC, and they're like, hey, I want to hear this 12 times in a row because we appreciate it.
Well, it's always good to spread the word about Le Rouge. All right, well, until next week. In fact, I think we're going to see each other at Ferndale Pride before we do another show.
Definitely will.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one. We will have the Pride Arch out that is getting zhuzhed 2.0 and a bunch of other things. You'll be able to see Engineer Randy, myself, all that. So make sure to go to ferndalepride.com to check that out. With that, I'm Jer Stays.
And I'm Fletcher Sharpe.
Remember that you are somebody, and we'll see you around Detroit.